the writer, and myself. Who am I, and who cares anyway? I feel that it only makes sense for you, the reader, to know a little about me, the author. Although we may never meet, hopefully you will find a connection with me through the ideas in this book. I believe we all share strong and beneficial natural connections, which the vast majority of us do not honor or even realize. I also believe that we do not and have never realized these logical connections because we create systems of living where those connections are not required, promoted, or even understood. We create these systems, societies, and follow them so absolutely because it makes us seem safe by guiding our lives. In other words, we live as social beings in social settings out of a subconscious determination of our instinct, but that fear and desire prevent us from discovering those all-important connections that make us human. I am not anti-society at all, and in fact see the benefits and necessity of society, but social systems alone are not enough for humanity to progress. Everything that we live for, that we love, hate, feel, think, and do, is less than everything that there is. There is more to our reality than we perceive there being, and that added reality matters more than what we do see. There are specific reasons for our tunnel vision, and discovering what they truly are will be an extremely meaningful part of discovering the rest of reality as well. Aside from how much we are willing to show ourselves, there is one other problem with reality, however. Once we see the whole picture, progression still isn't mandatory. Knowing the truth does not require us to fight for it or to live for it. I know this is true. What I don't know, of course, is if or when I, much less you, will find the strength to truly exist for all of reality. Someone wrote this book. A single human being transferred their thoughts to words for a reason. If I were to define this author in a social context, I'd probably call him awkward, nervous, childish, or introverted. However, since I know him well, I know a more accurate definition. He is sort of unique and sort of like everyone else. I wrote the book. It contains my thoughts, and it contains them because I have them, I believe them, and I want to share them. My name is Joe, and I am an individual who has specific ideas, beliefs, and desires regarding humankind and our existence. I possess my beliefs, my understanding of myself, and my understanding of others because I've looked. I've looked due to experiences that put me somewhere between standardized social living and being an outcast. I am not better than others, and I am not worse. What I am is exactly like them in a natural human sense, and different than most, only in the sense that I do not live with this seamless mental and physical connection. My mind does not completely coincide with my actions. I am conflicted to the core of my humanity. This lack of being content comes from an altered perspective, which was caused by nothing more than abnormal life circumstances. I do not know if a small look into my experiences will affect you in any way, but my hope is that you'll be able to see just how strongly an altered perception can change one's reality, even if it was forced. Also, I want you to think about realities of human life, which may seem vastly different from your own. Honestly, considering an alternate perspective or experience can help us see that all-important missing reality. Seeing how and why we are limited to our minds, as well as circumstance, can lead you to knowledge that can control both, a knowledge that if utilized can change reality. I will not bore you with all of the details of my life, only some, but my specific experiences have bearing on this book, myself, and why they mean what they do. I currently live in California, but I grew up in New Jersey and Michigan, and was born in Wisconsin. I am the youngest of 5 children. My parents and siblings were always loving. My father was in the army, so we moved quite a bit when I was very young. At least, that is what I've been told. The following recalled and absorbed information regarding my life is as accurate as independently possible. Some specifics may be inaccurate, but the significant general circumstances are true. At around 5 years of age, my brother closest in age and I were fighting in a mall. We were playing on top of a short wall behind a bench where my mother was sitting. I fell somehow and landed on my head. It is odd that I remember what happened just before this incident, because I don't recall anything before that, and it caused severe changes to how my brain functioned for the next 5 years or so. I in turn remember very little of my life during that time. According to my mother, the fall knocked me unconscious, and I was clinically dead before reaching the hospital room. The damage to my brain caused me to have occasional seizures, one every year or two. I had to get my blood taken regularly and started seeing a neurologist. The neurologist's assistant would run EEG and CAT scan tests on me. I was put on a powerful medication for years that seemed to only have negative effects on me. I remember believing that I could communicate with God, the devil, and other voices in my head. They would tell me things to do or why I shouldn't listen to the other. It may seem unbelievable, and because of my mental state, it could have been another trick played by my brain, but I also remember experiencing very specific déjà vu on a regular basis. Someone would say something, or something would happen that was identical to what I believed I heard or saw in a past dream. The medication also caused me to have severe debilitating migraines. I could not physically or mentally function even close to normally until my mother finally took me off the drug at around age 11. I realized much later that aside from the obvious changes to my brain, the incident had a much more profound effect. It disrupted the path my brain/I was on. I was unsure of how to act around and exist with other people and was out of it, so to speak, during the time I was supposed to learn. I am sure it was painfully obvious to teachers and other kids in elementary school that I was a little off. I wasn't that weird, I guess, but I do remember being very introverted and unsure of myself and my surroundings. When I finally got off the medication in middle school, I fit in with a group of kids rather quickly and easily. I just did what they did, liked what they liked, and disliked what they disliked. You might think that missing all those years of learning how to fit in would make it difficult, but it was simple and completely subconscious. I just had to follow. As a group, we bought comic books, caused some mischief, joked, and played. I was finally gaining establishment within the world around me by accepting and being accepted into outside influences. My life as I knew it came to a halt again, however, when my surroundings changed after middle school. My life changed at an established and specific social subsystem. I was suddenly unaccepted by and then non-accepting of this system, even though middle school was a preparation for it, just as elementary school was a preparation for middle school. The social system was high school, and it had a huge impact on my life, but differently than it has a huge impact on most others' lives. Whether you ever think about it or not, high school, like any social system, has a powerful influence upon the lives of those who have ever spent time in that environment. Most of us who went to high school quickly fit right into a specific area of the system. We accept the rules of the world around us and change ourselves accordingly. This was true of my friends as well. My small group of friends from middle school and I all went to the same large high school campus. We hung out during summer break before 9th grade, but once school started there were quick and obvious changes among us. My friends all split into different specified groups. The boy who liked sports hung out with others of the same interest. The boy who had long hair, dark clothes, and listened to heavy metal found a group similar to himself. My other friend began wearing more adult and elaborate clothing and found a new group as well. None of us hung out together, and I was left not hanging out with anyone again. I did not expect, and could not conform to, the new changes in my surroundings. I surely would have changed to fit my outside influences if the opportunity arose, but it did not. So, my 3 friends split into different groups, and there I was subconsciously still just trying to be the kid that never really got a chance to spill out his childhood. What I had learned, in middle school obviously was not enough to prepare me for this next step. Throughout high school, I wandered around subconsciously trying to protect myself. I shut down. Even though I was pretty much a normal and capable kid since being off the medication, I didn't let on in high school. I literally walked around using even a tinier portion of my mind than others. I walked the halls and went to class, if I went to school, but my mind was in constant fear. I didn't realize it was fear, but I stopped letting anything in or out because I feared getting hurt again. I did end up finishing high school, mainly because I believed what I was told. I assumed the social idea that it's best to finish was right without thinking about it. In hindsight, the environment combined with my subconscious was detrimental to my existence, however. School teachers, counselors, and everyone else never realized any of this, or at least never did anything about it. Everyone in every aspect of those surroundings assumed everything they knew. They assumed what they taught, they assumed what they learned, and they assumed the way to exist. I was no different in that regard. I just took on alternate assumptions. Therefore, I walked away from high school learning nothing. I didn't absorb what they were teaching, and I didn't teach myself anything either. I didn't learn how to be a normal citizen. I didn't learn how to have normal relationships. I didn't learn how to continue a normal path. And I didn't learn how to see and be myself. It is a very common part of our humanity to just do what's normal without questioning it. As for me now, I still live alone. I was married for a while, but even then the effects of my childhood influences were everywhere. I still to this day, outside of this book, don't share myself with the world or others. Despite that, I now know that it was my own subconscious acceptance and fear of my surroundings that hurt me. I still do it frequently. In standard subconscious fashion, it just happens to be what I'm used to. A big part of me still just wants what I wanted as a boy, to go explore and play and have fun. I still don't get to do it nearly enough. I still let fear and assumption rule most of my life. I also know that there is a lot more out there and a lot more to me as a human being. I know that my brain damage as a child didn't prevent me from overpowering the influence of my surroundings. I know that the kids who made fun of me and did not accept me aren't to blame either. Absolutely nothing out of my control is to blame for the negative effects of life upon me. If I never got a brain injury, it is safe to say I wouldn't be writing this book. The realities of humanity would have probably never been something for me to consider or even see. The fact is, everything is relative. It all relates. I do get sad sometimes about not having friends or relationships, in part because of my subconscious tendencies. It does hurt to shut even yourself out from the world. But it hurts more to know it, and still more to realize that you shut yourself out from yourself. Despite how much that hurts, it is what has led to the small progress I've made as a human being. I would never want to go back to not realizing I'm there, no matter the automated determination and results. You see, whether we realize it and or care for it or not, we are all there. We all are something more than what just happens and what we just do. Everything happens and is done for reasons. Individually, we can understand and try and change our own reasons. And individually and beyond, that is the progressive aspect of our humanity. Even for years after high school, I was greatly bothered about being an outcast and didn't realize there was anything to teach myself from it. After living in, but disconnected from, such a specific and powerful social setting for a while, I started understanding it. I started taking in information regarding what was around me. I began to see how the social setting operates. Not until later in life, however, did I make the connection or bother to understand why it operates. If I was never guided to life on the outside, I probably would have never even realized there was guidance at all. It is an unfortunate irony within our species that our greatest ability is the one which is naturally suppressed, the ability to perceive, think, question, and understand on our own. To be consciously aware means to be, at least initially, subconsciously unsatisfied. A life entirely on the inside of that exterior setting, yet outside of your existence, leaves us feeling comfortable and nothing more. I recognize this comfort, yet fail to overcome it very often. This is the conflict within me which I refer to. So, I've looked at who we are, why we are, what we could be, and in turn have begun to see who I am, why I am, and what I could be. I understand the negative effects of ourselves on individuality and have learned enough to make some subtle changes in my being. And even though I haven't been strong enough to completely live for the realities I've found, I've also learned enough to realize that I'm weak. I am flawed in a natural and pure sense of being. Starting with understanding and honoring that fact has helped me make sense of my humanity and individuality as well. For years, I've battled with making sense of the meaning of my personal and social existence. I still battle with it, but I came to a logical conclusion that even the limited experiences, ideas, and knowledge I do have should be shared. It might not help anyone. It might be pointless for everyone else to read these words. But the possibility that they'll spark meaning is worth more than if they didn't exist. Also, they help me. They remind me what I've been and what I am. I want to write them, and what I want is worth more than what I often give it credit.